In today's video, we're going to deeply dive into what we've been up to the last couple of months with Dan's journey so far with his Ironman journey. If you're new to tuning in, there's 5 episodes before this, documenting every few weeks what we're doing with an Ironman athlete from the beginning of February this year, 2025, with the ultimate goal of qualifying for Kona in the next 1, 2, maybe even 3 years. Stick around. So it's been a while since the last March documentation. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to do a little bit of a training update because everyone's keen to see how consistent, what he's been doing, how many hours he's been managing with a full-time job. We also touched on some really interesting stuff that I haven't seen on YouTube really. We looked at his blood results, but then we linked it up with his DNA gut microbiome mapping, which is quite fascinating actually. We'll do a whiz through that without going into too much in-depth detail of the nitty-gritty, just to get an oversight of how detailed we're going into the background. It's not just training, swim, bike, run, and eat and sleep. It's very fascinating, it's really interesting. You've got to be open to it as well, and Dan is incredibly open to just longevity, lifespan, and most importantly, health span with the journey, because triathlon can become quite unhealthy for different psychological and physical reasons, which I won't get into right now. We ran a PB half marathon on the way during training, which was a nice surprise. We've managed to do his first mountain bike off-road XTERRA event. Should Ironman triathletes do XTERRA? Stick around. And all in all, we summarize what we found, how well things have been going. We've had a bit of fun along the way, and also what's next, what's coming up in the next coming months. So stick around. It won't be a super long one, but it's quite detailed with highlighting the areas that I just mentioned, plus some learnings really and growth, and a few interviews with Dan.
106, Dan. How are we feeling this
Ready?
morning?
Yeah, excited.
Excited?
It's going to be a pretty good day out. A little bit of nervous energy, bit of nerves, bit of excitement. Well,
It's more the unknown, the unpredictability of. It's not like you've not done a triathlon before.
Yeah, not done an off-road triathlon before, so I will get a PB. I'll get a PB because it's the first one.
All this new gear. It's not those off-road trail shoes.
Yeah.
What have we got here now? We're
prepping for XTERRA, right? Tomorrow.
How's the sweatsuit? So it's brand new.
From yonder. Really comfortable. A really good fit, isn't it?
Ghost 3. I've got the Ghost 2. I've used it for the last 5-6 years. And this is on my next bucket list. So they've just made some really nice enhancements. First race of the season, just to try it out before the Bolton race. So how are you feeling ahead of tomorrow's XTERRA?
Feeling good. It's been a good day today, isn't it? We've watched the sprint triathlon today.
Yeah.
Been hanging around, just watching some of the elites as well. Checking out the course. I've done a bit of a course recce on the bike, which I needed for tomorrow.
What do you think of the bike?
Bike looks good. A couple of little gnarly bits for me, at least. But I did 1 loop, and we're doing 2 loops tomorrow, so I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
And the swim looks not too cold.
18.5 degrees today?
Yeah, 18.5 today. So yeah, I'll jump in that tomorrow morning. So will you?
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to jump in and join you for a little XTERRA, my 3rd year in a row. And then
my first one, my first XTERRA, something totally different for me, but it's fun. It's going to be really interesting. So
cool. So we're in the build to 70.3 Bolton, 5 weeks out.
Yep.
So this is part of a training day.
A big day out.
But the idea is to take any pressure off of times, power, splits, and just go and do a pure strength type event with some friends that you've just met, some new friends, and Coach Annie's going to enjoy doing some rounding with you, some pacing around.
Yeah.
See what I've got in the tank.
And then we're just going to smash the run, right?
And then we're going to smash the run.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that 10k-ish, 10ish trail run.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, we'll touch base. Okay, try and see if you can run before you pull it off.
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure out how we go. How not to do transition training, or how to before a race. Okay, so it'll be a breakaway zipper. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, the washing machine. XTERRA, so tell me, man. 2 age groups, different age groups. What the hell? What happened?
I mean, the swim was quite weedy. It was quite murky in places, but we got through it, and then just kind of thought, send it on the bike, see what happens, and it actually stuck this time. But back was a bit stiff, but that's we know that's a thing for me. And then just held on to the run, no issues. So
Second overall.
Look off, but we're good.
Second overall.
Second overall.
First in age group. Couldn't be happy as a coach.
Yeah, mate. I was pulling those weeds out of the lake. I was like dragging myself. I wasn't even swimming. I was like,
I know, just horrible.
it wasn't actually too bad part of the lake. You could see quite well in part of it. Swim, did alright. Took about 25 minutes, 26 or something like that. Quick enough transition. Like, only fell off once. Just went all around those hills a little bit, took it the second lap. Stuck on it. Super quick transition, and then got into the run pretty swiftly, to be honest.
He looks strong coming out. I thought he looked strong,
and then second lap, kept the pace. About 3k to go, just started picking people off. Some came out with us.
Were you guys cold? Because I was cold until...
It was cold until the
first
second lap. Second lap.
I had 3.5k left at that point, so a bit energized. And I was like,
so safe.
So now,
You were 5 minutes ahead and didn't catch him. You were 5 minutes ahead, I certainly didn't see you. And then chief spectators. First time XTERRA.
Yep.
Mountain bike.
How was the bike? Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
Tell me about the lead into it.
So the lead into it.
This week.
So this week it's been a bit of an easier week because we had the race today. We've both done the XTERRA. So been out on the mountain bike a few times before this race. Get a little bit of skill practice in. Did the loop of the course yesterday as well, just to get familiar, and I'm pretty glad I did. It was a bit of a gnarly course for my standards, being on road all the time for me, but really enjoyed it. I actually got around the bike a bit quicker than I thought and enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So bike course, really, really good. And then onto the run, feeling pretty strong. Started taking people out right near the end, about 3k to go. The sun came out and my passion came out. I just started ticking people off. I just went for it right at the end. Sprint finish, give them mum a cuddle at the end. Really, really good day out.
That's so good, man. So just under around 3 hours.
Yeah.
Big training block. Nothing bad happened. Really tough swim with loads of weeds. Month out from half Ironman Bolton.
Yeah,
and then
that's right.
2 months out from your Ironman Talon.
Yeah, so this is good practice. It's a good training day. It's good to get in the open water because this lake was pretty murky. I think Bolton will be a bit clearer, but it was good to get the feel for the open water and being in a pack as well on the swim.
Yeah, how did you feel? First open water swim of the year.
Yeah, it's the first proper one of the year. It was good, and I took it a little easy. We strategized before it, didn't we? And I wasn't going to go out too hard on the swim. Took it easy for the first couple of 100 meters. Got in a pack spread out. I just stuck at my pace. Picked it up a little bit towards the end because I wanted to keep my legs fresh. Before the bike, but I actually really enjoyed it. To be honest, really enjoyed the swim.
Yeah, it's always a bit daunting after the winter. We never know really what to expect. And I started 5 minutes behind you and tried to catch you the whole day and failed. So the training must be working.
Yeah, it's certainly working.
So we came to Western part in XTERRA part of the series to do a standard distance event this weekend, the beginning of May. You can hear in the background. Perfect location. It's my third year here. My coach Felix, it's his third year. He's been coming first and second in his age group, but today he smashed it. He was second overall, but by about 45 seconds. So I'm really happy. So he won his age group as well, which means World Championships qualification. Most important, the other client, Dan Kona Dream Project, Dan Furs. First time doing a mountain bike event, and it was great. It was mainly just to do a 3-hour training day for Bolton 70.3 and then building up to an Ironman. And wow, did it go great. He started 5 minutes ahead of me, and actually I tried to catch him all day. It was a bit of fun, and he just finished so strong and he rode really well. And his swimming improvements have been great. And 10K run, 10.5K run, he did fantastic. So all in all, just a great weekend. The friends we were racing as well did amazing. Ellie won her age groups off to World Champs. And yeah, just a beautiful backdrop. Western Park. Definitely come back here this time next year. It's going to be an annual thing. As I said, it's our 3rd year. And the whole idea was to get a really good training day and experience swim, bike, run, but just a hard strength day. It's just really on it all the time. And it's different, so it requires a lot of core stability, a lot of different muscles, and time's go out the window, power's go out the window, and it's just about hanging on for dear life. See you back here next year.
What's quite fascinating these days is what you can do with DNA gut mapping, which we line up with blood results as well, working with one of my team members, a very experienced naturopath in the nutrition field. And what we did with Dan was initially in March is a first panel of bloods just to get a sense of where we're at, because it's really important as a holistic approach. And then we looked at the gut genes, which ties into the bloods and any symptoms he was having. But luckily we had a clean bill of health before, so it was mainly just to try and work out the DNA mapping. We found some interesting things, certainly around vitamin D and being the transporter. So ultimately, green is good, yellow amber is okay. You have one gene from one of the parents, and then red is a negative response. So these are the areas we looked at, or the test looks at it. You get a generalized report, but then with the very good oversight of the team members, we tie it all into the training, the nutrients, the stress. So we scroll down through this area here, and the most important thing we wanted to look in the digestion is if there was inflammation around celiac responses, not that he's had any IBS leaky gut issues, so that's all green, lactose all green. The metabolism was very comfortable, and nicely to see that obesity in type 2 is not a major issue from a genetic point of view. And remember, you can alter your genes a little bit. It's not completely set in stone, but it's not been around for longer than 10 years, a lot of this, so we don't actually know. Stress element, bear in mind training is stress, and we measure stress on different ways. The body just piles it into one bucket. So in terms of cortisol, we've got a nice green, and blood pressure and electrolyte balance also a green, so that's very good on that front. We're going through pretty good greens at the moment and yellows, so no real issue. The histamine ties into a little bit of the training and the stress. So histamine is inflammation. We need to watch that. So these two are quite closely linked, and that ties in later with zinc. So a lot of the underlying issues came out a little bit. You can't measure zinc in bloods, but a little bit to do with diet and symptoms based on some other testing within the nutrition consult. We found that zinc was pretty low back in March and early part of April. This is a good area. Vitamin A, D, A and B9, B12 really important for triathlon endurance. So that's all greens. This is interesting. We've got a yellow and amber for vitamin D transporter. So it's a small amount of the population. We know that vitamin D is crucial in terms of a hormone. Dan just needs extra. He must never work in a basement or work shifts. We have just come out of winter, but that's mainly his bloods. So his bloods were on the low side of optimal, not great. So we have actually increased that. He was already taking vitamin D through winter. So that ties in with zinc, and zinc is very linked to, or vitamin D is very linked to the cholesterol. And one of the things in his bloods were, even though he's very healthy, genetically, and for some reason his cholesterol's not where we would expect. Proteins, metabolizers, and fats, pretty good, and then ideally carbohydrates, which is fantastic. Omega-3 also linked to histamine and inflammation. We definitely need to pay attention to that, but he eats a lot of oily fish and supplements daily with 1,000 milligrams. Not too affected by caffeine. He is sensitive green light there, so he metabolizes it quickly, which we guessed based on his low amount of caffeine intake. Alcohol he doesn't really drink, but he's okay in sensitivity. And then the big one, we have a green light for power and endurance, so that's quite cool. The reds here, the only reds we really got, injury, connective tissue, he's not really experienced any of that with laxity of ankles. We just need to bear that in mind. and his recovery. Now, this is something I want to try and work on because I've noticed his HRV, heart rate variability, since we started working and before looking at tracking, isn't as high as I'd like. The good news is yellows and greens for sleep and melatonin and circadian rhythm. So all in all, we're in a good place. Next up, blood. Looking at the next part of the testing is quite exciting. We won't go into the details of Dan's bloods, but there's two parts to this. We did this in March and had to redo a couple at the beginning of April, just to check some markers. Thyroid really important, and cortisol, stress. And if we look at the main part of it, which was a couple of weeks before, B12 we want to see right in the middle, a little bit high on the creatine kinase. The areas that we were looking at mostly is cholesterol, HDL, LDL, the ratio. So we want to make sure that the health stats are pretty sound there. Magnesium's pretty good. Red blood cell count is all fine. But total cholesterol, triglycerides are nice and low. Anything under 1 is great. Vitamin D we would look to increase, but now we know about the DNA mapping on the other image. We can see that the transport is the issue, which we would have never known based on his DNA mapping, his gut microbiome. So this is baseline testing. We can definitely improve this. 3 months probably. Increase zinc to absorb ultimately all the minerals and vitamins from his food, help with stress, help balance his body. So the big key takeaways: increasing his magnesium at night. He was already taking magnesium, balancing out the vitamin D, increasing some soy lecithin with his food to help with cholesterol in a natural way, not worrying about statins and so forth, and just fine-tuning omega-3s, fatty fish, and more soaked whole grains, etc. So his diet's very good already, but you can see when we look under the bonnet that it's really important to get everything fairly lined up. So we'll retest at the end of July, which will be before his Ironman, and most important thing is to keep the health span going. So more to follow on this. Okay, the part that most of us are quite interested in, especially if you've been following from the beginning. So our last episode 5 culminated in this weekend here when Dan ran pretty much a PB for park run as part of training. This was the training weekend we did together. So there was a sort of 11-12 hour week. You can see his CTL, that's an indication of his fitness, 92 over a period of few weeks. Fatigue is the current 7-day fatigue in terms of how much load, and then the difference is his form. So you generally always in negative. So that is your general trend of fitness working up over a period of 40 days. Okay, so then we moved into, of course, March finished and heading in towards Easter. So there's a 10-hour week, nothing crazy. Just getting a nice mixture of duration. This was a lower week due to a fall on the mountain bike. So this is why the hours are down here. There was a little bit of a setback actually. He had just ridden once with me and then went on his own on a couple of days off, and we did some testing here, the 5-minute test, 20-minute test. That was promising. The 20-minute had moved up. 5-minute was fairly close. We hadn't started a VO2 max block, so we are now into that in April, May. So we took a few days off here, which is his first break, mainly just because he fell and hurt his hip and scraped his leg a bit. And that knocked him a little bit from confidence point of view, but then bounced back. Look at this, 14 hours, a longer run. Still working. We started working now on VO2 max development to actually work on his weakness. So we first got more tolerance in the last block from our last video, just to try to see if his muscles can actually manage that. So there's a 12-hour week, some mountain biking on his own. But here was a PB, half marathon PB, as part of training. Now, we threw that in just to run how he felt with no prescription, and on purpose, just to see how he felt. A couple of minutes warm up with some strides and bashed out a 127, backed it up. The most important thing, His HRV didn't drop down. He's normally in the mid-20s. So this is something I track. And then we didn't lose any training, straight into a 14-hour week, hitting a 100 CTL. Gave him that rest day off there. High intensity bike, 2 key sessions. We've started to bring in a little bit of 70.3 because we've got Bolton on the 7th of June, 70.3. So some easy running around that and some strength in the pool. That's the first and second VO2 max bike session. So that's a pretty tough week. You can see CTL. Then we built up to the end of beginning of May, where we just did his first full distance XTERRA, which we're going to show a lot of footage, and actually an outstanding results considering he fell off his mountain bike a few weeks ago. It was only his 4th ride really, and just had a blast. A decent swim, really murky first swim of the year, solid time on the bike, and then one of the nicest runs in the field in terms of strength. Finished strong. We had a steady week building into it, a little bit of threshold work just to get the legs a bit conditioned, but we didn't train for this. And then we hovering around 100, 95 to 100 with a 10, 11 hour week. The most important thing is his consistency. And then what's coming up, well, this is this week now, the week of May. So we're going to hit back on, we're still on the VO2 max. So this is really increasing his VO2 max here. And he's 5 weeks out now from 70.3 in Bolton. So that's the next plan, is the 70.3 to test out obviously renewed fitness and just keep building towards the Ironman in August, which is just part of this year's plan. We're not going for qualification this year. It's learnings, fuel and hydration testing and so forth. So this week will probably be another 13 to 14 hour week with another VO2 max block here, and then probably a recovery week, some testing, and then Bolton 70.3, where I will be there with Dan the man.